We are here today in Pottsboro, Texas on May the 13th, 2019 to interview Don R. Childers, an American veteran. My name is Inez Scott and I will be conducting the interview. Partnering with me is Cheryl McKee, who will be keeping a timeline log and recording the interview in both audio and video. Cheryl and I are members of the Daughters of the American Revolution's local chapter of the Martha Jefferson Randolph National Society. Good morning, Mr. Childers. Do you prefer that I call you Don, Mr. Childers? How do you, all right, Don is comfortable for you.
Very much.
That works for me. All right. We'd like to get to know a little bit about you before you went into the military. So, where and when were you born?
I was born June 10th, 1930 in Gary, Oklahoma.
Tell us where Gary, Oklahoma is.
That is about 60 miles northwest of Oklahoma City, a little town, small town. I was born in a dugout.
Tell us about a dugout. How did your parents end up in a dugout?
That I couldn't tell you because I wasn't there when they moved into it. So, anyway, we had a roof on the top of the dugout, and we had windows around it.
Oh,
and
okay.
it was down, it like a cellar.
With windows.
Years and years and years ago, people lived in that tornado alley up there. So.
Oh, I see. Well, what was your dad's occupation?
He worked for the railroad at that time in Oklahoma.
Which railroad?
I have no idea.
Okay. And what did your mom do?
She was a housewife. She had a total of 9 children.
That's what I was going to ask you. She had 9 children. At what point did they leave the dugout?
We moved to Oklahoma City when I was about 2 years old.
Okay.
So I didn't remember anything about that part of it. So.
All right. So where did you fall in the 9?
I was next to the last. I was the 7th child. Actually, 8th child because one of them died in between. My mother had 2 families, you might say. She had 4 children, and then she had another one that died right after childbirth, and she had 4 more children.
All right.
So I was in the last group.
You were in the last group. What was your mom's name and your dad's name?
My dad's name was Charlie Childers. He was part Indian with the Cherokee Indian Nation, and he was on the rolls. And my mother's name was Hattie, and her dad was a plantation owner in Oklahoma, in eastern Oklahoma.
Wow.
And they got married when she was 14 years old. Had a kid when she was 15. Didn't know what was wrong with her.
Oh my goodness.
So then there was no doctors around or nothing else. People didn't know. So.
Yeah. So she was a mother at 15. Wow. Life was not easy then, was it?
What?
Life was not easy.
No, it was not easy then. Of course.
Right.
When we moved to Oklahoma City, my dad went to work for a steel manufacturing company, and he had to join the union, and they went on strike one time, and he was in charge of giving out rations at that time, and we gave out beans and flour, and that's what we all ate, was beans and flour and stuff like that.
You had a diet heavy in beans and flour.
A lot of beans and a lot of potatoes.
Bread.
So, but we all survived. So.
Yes. Well, do you have any living siblings?
No, they're all dead. My youngest brother, he died 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm the last one. I have no uncles, no aunts, no brothers or sisters.
Oh.
I'm the last one.
That's hard. That's difficult.
I didn't even know it till I got thinking about it, and sure enough, I'm the last one.
Are you? The last one standing. Yes. Oh my goodness. Was your dad in the military?
No, he was not in the military.
What about his dad?
No.
Okay, so you were the first. Did any of your brothers?
Oh yeah. During World War II, I had a brother in the Air Force. I had a brother-in-law that was in the Army. I had a brother-in-law that was in the Navy. He was CB. Had another brother that was in the Navy, and then I was, of course, in the Marine Corps and finished it out. The last one. So.
Wow. For the records, because this will go into records, would you tell us your multiple brothers' names and the branch of military they were in? You told me, but I need their names with their branch of military service.
If I can remember.
Okay.
My oldest brother, Ernest, he was not in the military.
Okay.
He graduated from the University of Oklahoma. He was a captain of the wrestling team. This was back in the 30s now, a long time ago. And then I have a sister that was married to the CB. His name was Joe Beard, and he was in World War II in the Pacific. I had a sister, Maxine. Her husband was in the Army as a medic in the European theater. My little brother Jimmy, he was in the Navy, and then I had, of course, the Marine Corps, and I think I had a brother Charles, my older brother rather. He was in the Air Force. He was stationed at Chanute, Kansas, all during the war.
Okay.
He was an instructor on B-17s.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So your family served.
Oh yeah, we all served. Yeah.
You served, those who could serve, and then the women married men who served. Yes, that's a great legacy, family legacy. Well, what were you doing when you decided to join the military, or did you decide to join the military? How did that happen?
Yes, in 1948, Mr. Harry Truman, our president, signed a bill that if you enlisted in the active reserve, you would not be drafted. So I turned 18 years old in June, the 10th, and then the latter part of June, I went down and enlisted in the Marine Corps Reserve. And that's how I got in there.
Were you located in Oklahoma City at that time?
Yes, we lived in Oklahoma City at that time. Yeah.
How did you choose the Marines?
Well, it sounded good. Nobody else was in the Marines. There's all the Army, and I didn't want to be in the Army.
All right. Okay. So you went down and joined the Marine Reserves. How long were you active in the Marine Reserves before you were called to active duty?
I was in the reserve for 2 years before it was called to active duty. So.
What did you do in the reserves? Did you have weekend training?
We had weekend training, and we had 2 weeks in the summertime. We would go to California for training.
Okay.
So
and
we
that
had plenty
training
of
was in
training
Camp
there.
Pendleton?
Camp Pendleton,
Okay. And you were still located in Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City, yeah.
But you would go to California in the summer for training.
Yeah.
And you did that for 2 years?
2 years,
2 or 3?
2.
2, okay. How did that change? What brought about the change? What
When
brought
the
you to
Korean
active
War broke
duty?
out in 1950, they called us to active duty. And that's when they pulled a whole battalion out of Oklahoma City and sent them to California.
Oh, okay.
And split us all up over there. So
Okay, so you were not going to, if you joined the Marine Reserves, you wouldn't be called up, but when the Korean War broke out, you were the first ones called.
Yeah, we were the first ones to do it. That's right. Yeah,
Well, so and you say they split you up.
when we got to California,
When you
they
got to
did.
California.
Different guys went to different companies, and
Right.
I was sent to the military police company and stayed there for a while, and we would put us in the advanced combat training group, so we went up to that.
Okay.
And then over to Korea.
Were you in basic training? You'd already had basic training, probably in the
Yeah.
reserves, had you not?
Yes.
The discipline, the physical kinds of things, and the
Yes.
shooting or targets or whatever. But this is more intense training when they called you up.
Yes, very. In fact, they called it advanced combat training. Is what it was. So,
How did you feel about that?
well, it was good. We needed it. I mean, you learned a lot. How to protect yourself,
Right,
and how to depend upon the guy behind you and the guy in front of you.
right.
See, the Marine Corps tradition is you take care of yourself, you take care of the guy behind you, and the one in front of you. Mm-hmm. You don't. You got a buddy
It's
system.
not just you.
Just not me. No.
Mm-hmm. That's a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, you joined when you were about 18, so you were 20, 21 when you were called to active duty.
20 years old.
20 years old. How were you anticipating what was going to happen? Did you?
Well, we knew that we'd be shipped to Korea. We knew that.
You did know that?
Just a question of time, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and when you get through with your training, then they shipped you over there. I went over in the 8th replacement draft. With replacing the guys who got wounded and killed and was ready to get out of the Corps.
Oh, okay. Was there like in Vietnam, there was like a year service in Vietnam, and you came home. Was that kind of policy in place for Korea? Did you have so long you were going to be there?
No, not necessarily, because when I went over there, I only had about 6 months to do on my tour. I enlisted for 3 years. But they held me a year for COG, which is convenience of the government.
Okay.
And so I stayed over there for that following year. I stayed over there till March of 51.
Okay.
52. March of 52. Yeah.
March of 52.
Yeah.
And
I went over in 51, came home in 52, yeah.
All right. You said you were part of the Weapons Company 1st Battalion, 5th Marines Regiment, 1st Marine Division.
Right.
Did you make some good friends in that group?
Yeah. Marines were always friends. You make a friend with everyone, every Marine. So.
You're a band, aren't you?
That's it. You're banded together.
I like that. That's what they promote and advertise. You're a band of brothers. Yes.
Yeah, we've got several Marines here on the base on our little area. We kind of catch a little bit of hell from the Navy and the Army boys.
Oh, you do?
But that's all right too. We give the Navy a hard time too. So anyway.
Well, you brought that up, and we'll address it a little bit later. But you're living in an area that is populated with veterans.
Yes.
So,
we have 90 home sites out here that the property is leased from the Corps of Engineers to the Veterans of Foreign Wars. And they're all veterans except for the ones that have deceased and their dependents have taken over their places.
Wow.
But,
so you're all brothers.
We're brothers, yes.
Yes, you
a
are.
whole bunch, yeah.
Do you have any female veterans who live here?
We do have. They don't necessarily live on the post, but they're members of the post.
Oh,
We've got
okay.
a couple of ladies that were in the Air Force and spent 10, 12 years in the Air Force and retired. So forth, yeah.
But they do not live here.
One does, one doesn't.
Okay,
And
but they're members.
Probably some more of them that
Okay, all right.
remember some.
That's interesting. So then you went to Korea. What did you feel? Were you apprehensive? What were you thinking? Did you go by ship or plane?
We went with ship.
How long was that?
I don't remember how many days it took, but I know when we left port in San Diego, one poor little guy got seasick, and he stayed seasick till we hit Japan. He had his helmet there beside his bunk, and we'd have to go empty his helmet out. He was a sad case, but
Were the waters rough at times?
it was sometimes it was pretty rough on the sea, but I don't know how many days it took, but it took a long time.
Took a long time.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the ship you were on?
Coming back, we were on the General Weagle troop transport.
Spell that.
Wegal, I guess. Weagle.
Okay.
General.
Coming back, do you recall what you went over on?
I have no idea.
And you first landed or went to Japan. And from there,
to Korea.
were you
Seoul,
transported by ship from Japan to Seoul?
Korea. So, yeah, southern part of town, the southern part of Korea.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And there was an air base or a base there, military base there.
Yeah. Then they put us on trucks and took us to a little town called Wonju, which was
Wonju.
nothing in Wonju, Korea, and there was nothing there, just a few grass huts. But they put us up bivouac the first night there in a dry riverbed, and he told us, he said, you better dig in. Well, we didn't know what he was talking about. We knew what digging in was, but we didn't know why. But later on that evening, somebody hollered incoming mail. And I said, well, I thought to myself, well, the mail's caught up with us. And little did I know it was artillery shells coming in on us. So it was quite a shock. So,
yes.
So it was.
But somebody in the group knew that it was artillery. And, and
some of the veterans had been there, So
and you took cover or whatever.
You took cover. Then you started digging in the dirt.
Then you really started digging.
Yeah. I think it's very comical when you think about it,
But that was after. I mean, you can look back at it and think about it.
Yeah.
Then it wasn't funny.
Then it wasn't funny, no.
No,
I look back at it and think about it, how funny it was, the incoming mail. Well, our mail's caught up with us.
And you were just boys.
Well, 20 years old, you didn't think about much.
You didn't have that terminology, and you didn't know what all that meant. So then from there, where did they move you?
They moved us up to our particular companies that we were going to join into.
Okay.
That's when they sent me at the weapons company and the 81 Mortar Platoon.
The 81 Mortar Patrol. Okay.
Platoon.
And what did that mean? What were you doing?
Well, I started out as an ammo carrier. A mortar is it's kind of like a small artillery piece. It's you drop a shell down the tube and it shoots out and goes up and guns down. It's kind of hard to describe. You got three pieces of it. You got the base plate, you got the tube, and then you had a tripod. And they all three kept together, and then it's just kind of like a light artillery piece. And that's what you do. But then when you first get over there, they put you in as an ammo carrier, carrying ammunition from the Jeep, went on the road, up to the mountain, up the side of the mountain to the guns. The guns were right behind your front lines.
Right. Okay. So you were carrying
ammos.
Ammos.
Then one of the forward observers with Baker Company got killed, and the forward observer with Able Company got transferred out, so they needed two forward observers, and I didn't like carrying that ammo very much, so I volunteered to go up.
What did a forward observer?
That's when you find out targets and to call in fire missions from the guns to hit the enemy.
Okay, locations.
Location, yeah. So.
You're identifying locations for targets.
Yeah.
That would have been dangerous.
Yes, it could have been.
I'm sure the enemy was watching for people like you.
Well, they're looking for everybody.
Yes.
See, in the Marine Corps, every man is a rifleman.
Okay.
There's no such thing as a specialist when you're in boot camp or when you're in training. Everybody learns to be a infantryman. That's the basic.
Every Marine
Every
does?
Marine is first trained to be a rifleman, infantry.
Infantry, rifleman. Both of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you learn how to shoot the machine guns and stuff like that. But anyway, that's you're taught to be a infantry.
All right.
Then when you get in the specialists like mortars, and then you get to be in artillery, or you get to be a cook, you're still a rifleman. You're still infantry.
Oh, okay.
So,
all right. Was that physically taxing? Because weren't you going up hills, taking these munitions to the line? Wasn't that physically?
Yes, you would strap 6 mortar rounds around you. You had a pouch. You put 3 rounds in the front and 3 rounds in the back, and carry it up there that way too. You could only carry 6 rounds because of the weight.
What did that weigh?
Oh, I don't remember, but it's heavy. So but it's pretty heavy.
Were you thinking or concerned any that you could be hit carrying that?
Oh yeah, constantly. Yeah, you never know. first trip we made up there, and never will forget this. I was walking up the trail, and a guy in front of me said, "Look over there," and I looked over there, and there was a dead gook living there. His body was ready to explode, and we walked on up some more, and there was a guy, a dead gook, laying in the water in the creek with his head blown off, open, and his brains floating out on the water. So I couldn't eat spaghetti for a long time. So, but you know, so,
You'd never seen or experienced anything like
No.
that in Oklahoma City?
no,
No, no,
you never experienced anywhere like that.
no.
And dead people live around all around you, you know, especially the gooks. We didn't leave our dead out. We
You
brought 'em
pardon?
back. We didn't leave our dead out. We
Oh,
brought 'em
okay,
back.
but they left theirs out.
Oh, yeah.
Right. There were thousands missing in action.
There's still about last I heard, I was 7,500 people still missing from the Korean War.
Right, right. So there were times it was impossible to bring them out.
Well, I don't know what happened. Probably a lot of them were captured at the Chosin Reservoir. And then again, whenever they were retreating from the Chosin Reservoir back, they probably captured a bunch of the guys. I don't know.
Right, right. So
But they,
how long did you carry munitions?
where did they stay on the mission?
How long did you carry those? And then you were your
Oh,
assignment was
it
something
wasn't
else.
long. I would say a couple of weeks at the most.
Oh, okay. And then you were assigned.
Assigned to Baker Company as a forward observer.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And the forward observer, would that be comparable to a point man?
Very similar. Well, you're up there with what you do is try to find out where the gooks are
Right.
of the enemy. Then you want to fire rounds of ammunition, artillery shells on them. That's what you're looking for.
They call them point men in Vietnam, I believe, and that sounds like a similar
Well, a point
responsibility.
man in the Marine Corps, a point man is the guys out in front of the whole battalion, the
Oh,
whole
okay.
company.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't there. I was
Okay.
with Baker Company, but I'm on an observation post looking for people.
All right.
I don't go up on,
All right.
on
All
the
right.
trail. So,
Good, good. I thank you for clarifying that, because there's so much that just the average person like myself doesn't know, doesn't understand, and that's the point of this interview,
Yeah.
learning those things.
You know, your point man would be on, like you're on patrol, and you got the squad behind you, and then you got one guy up in front scouting out, making sure nobody's up there in front of you. And that's your point man in the Army, and also in the
okay.
Marine Corps too.
Right.
But the forward observer's altogether different than that.
How long did you do the forward observer
Until I left there.
till you left, and how long were you in Korea? You said earlier.
I got there in March and left there the following February, I believe it was. Yeah.
Okay, about 11 months.
11 months of
Right.
Yeah.
Did you form some strong friendships?
Oh, yeah, with my buddies, but I don't remember their names. I haven't heard from them. They haven't heard from me, and I don't have any idea who they are now.
Did you lose some of your friends there?
No, I never did. No, I didn't. No, my buddies were in the guns. They were behind the lines,
Okay.
and I didn't know them. The guys up in Baker Company, I wasn't too familiar with them because I was what you might call an outsider. I wasn't the guys that shooting with rifles.
Did that experience change you as a young man? You saw
Yeah, I
some
learned a
things.
lot.
Yeah.
I got out of the teenage bracket, you know. I learned how to live, how to get along. So it makes a big difference.
You saw death.
Oh, I saw death. Yeah,
Death.
very definitely, yes. Yeah.
So you were there about 11 months, and you came back to the States. Was your tour over? You did not go back.
No.
That was what?
No, if they would have called me back, they put me in the inactive reserve.
Okay.
And if they had called me back during the Vietnam War or something like that, I probably would have stayed in. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So you just,
All right.
you never know what you're going to do. So
What did you do when you came? You were discharged or released in 1952.
52.
Was that when you had returned, or were you just still in the active
No,
Marines
no,
then?
I was in the active reserve.
Okay,
In
okay.
In active reserve. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
okay. So, what were you doing with your life then?
well, I didn't do anything for about a month. Just played around with some. I had 3 guys that were in the 45th Division out of Oklahoma City, out of Oklahoma rather, and they got home about the same time I did, and we got together, and we were all 3 of us ran around together quite a bit. Had a good time for about a month. Then we went back to our jobs.
So you left as an 18-year-old and you came back as a 22-year-old.
Basically, yes.
So did you look for a job?
Yeah, no, I had a job.
You did?
But, yeah. I was dating a little girl that was going to the University of Oklahoma, and she wanted me to go. I said, well, I can go on the GI Bill, no problem. And so I went with her down there one day and sat with her. We went to the student union building, and I saw all these young preps and kids and like that, and they didn't know nothing, but they were students. And I said, this is not for me. I can't put up with these kids.
Right.
I've been halfway around the world, been shot at and shot at and shot at people, and that's not for me. I can't handle these kids. So I didn't go to school there. And then later on, I went to a business school.
Where did you go to the business school?
Hills Business College in Oklahoma City.
All right.
Wife and I both did after I met her.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't marry the OU girl.
No.
Where did you meet your wife?
I met her at a drive-in restaurant.
Uh-huh.
We were sitting up there, and then she pulled in with her girlfriend, and we started talking and backing, jacking around, having a good time, and that's where I met her.
And what was her name?
Her name was her nickname was Penny.
Uh-huh.
Penny Childers, Penny Holman rather, and
Holman?
Holman.
Okay.
Holman, and she was originally from Pauls Valley, and we hit it off. And we decided to get married the following June. But then the weather turned bad and it got cold. She moved it up to March, and then we moved it up to January.
Oh, you
So
did.
January 31st, we ran off to
Were you moving it back, or were you
Moving it
moving
up.
it forward?
She wanted to get married. But she
Okay,
was cold.
okay. You were shortening the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. She was ready to get married. What was it about Penny that attracted you to her?
I don't know. She was a down-to-earth girl. She was very attractive. I don't know. She was just a
You
beautiful
were
person.
comfortable with one
Very
another.
comfortable with her. Yeah. In fact, we were married for 65 years.
And you lost her recently.
Yeah. Year ago last March.
All right.
Last March.
You've had a good life?
Oh, we had a wonderful life. Yeah. We traveled a lot. We had 3 kids. 7 grandchildren, now 1 great-grandchildren.
Wow. What are your children's names?
My oldest son is Larry. He lives in Silo, Oklahoma. He just retired. He was in the food business, wholesale food business for years, and I think 32 years he was with them. And then my daughter, Cindy, she lives in Colleyville, and then my youngest son is Robert. We call him Bobby, and he's a nut. He's a lot of fun. Takes after me, and he lives in Fort Worth.
All right, so they're close enough that you can
Oh yeah,
stay in touch.
Yeah.
Or physical touch.
oh yeah.
Yes.
They come up quite
see
often,
one
yeah.
another.
My
Yes.
son Larry comes over about twice a month, and Cindy comes up every time she can, and Bobby comes up every other weekend or so. So he enjoys it up here. We do a lot of fishing together.
Wonderful place.
It's a wonderful place, yeah.
It
Good place
is a
to live.
wonderful place. It is. Well, what did you do as an occupation? You said you went to business school. How did you use that?
Well, I went to work for a finance company as the collector, and then I was transferred to Midland, Texas one time, and back to Oklahoma City, and then to Fort Worth. And I got an opportunity to go to work for the First National Bank of Fort Worth. So I went to work for the bank. Stayed there 12 years or 14 years, something like that, as a banker. And then I went to First State Bank in Bedford. Was there for about 4 years. Then we had the opportunity to move up here to the lake in 1984. And we decided to move up here permanently. Mm-hmm. And I got a job at the First National Bank of Pottsboro at that time. I was president of that bank up there.
All right. So, yeah. So what did Penny do during these years?
She worked for the district attorney's office in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And when we were living in Fort Worth, we'd actually lived in Bedford, which is halfway between Dallas and Fort Worth. And we'd leave of a morning. She'd go up and get on the freeway and go to Dallas, and I'd go to Fort Worth. I mean,
whoa,
for years.
Pretty good commutes, yeah.
Commute, yeah.
Yeah.
And we had a good life down there. We lived there in that house for, I think, 20 some odd years. Mm-hmm. And finally moved up here to the lake in 84, mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. Loved it up here.
How did you hear about this place on the lake?
We were camped out up here years and years and years and years. Mm-hmm. When we were living in Oklahoma City, we would drive down to Lake Texoma State Park and camp out with kids and everything. And we loved to fish, and we loved to water ski, and had a boat. And then when we moved to Texas, we heard about Lake Texoma Lodge on this side, not the lodge, but Tanglewood. And I worked with the bank, and we had fishing trips organized a lot of times through the bank to some of our customers, and that's how I got acquainted with this whole area out here.
Oh, okay. So did you see a lot of the United States when you traveled?
Oh yeah, we went to Florida. We went to West Virginia, California, all those states around there. Went up to Ohio and Illinois, all over Texas.
Wow, that's wonderful.
We had a great time traveling around. So.
You did enjoy that. Mm-hmm. Yes, that was after you both retired.
Yeah.
Right. So have you had any difficulty adjusting to the civilian life?
No, I didn't have any trouble with it. No.
Okay. Have you remained in contact with any of your fellow veterans that you served with?
No.
Okay. You all don't have reunions or anything like that. No. How did you become included in the honor flight? Tell us about the honor flight. It's on
the honor
shirt.
flight is for veterans. They want to get the World War II and Korean veterans all out of the way before they take on the Vietnam and later ones veterans. But I heard about it on some guy went on it from up here, and I heard about it, so I decided I want to get on it and see what happened. So Zip Tarver and I, we decided to apply for it. And they told us it would be maybe 2 years before we could get on the flight. So we just went and sent our applications in, and then that summer they called us and said, you're on the flight for this winter to go to up there to Washington, D.C. And
that's what the honor flight destination is, Washington, D.C.
Oh, yes.
And they honor you there.
Well, yeah, you can't believe about how it is. Like, we met that morning in Dallas at 7 o'clock, got on the airplane, they fed us, flew to Washington, D.C., and when the plane landed, they gave us a water cannon salute.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow.
Then you walk through the airport and people standing around giving you an applause. No. Very touching. Then you go to all these different memorials. Mm-hmm. We went to the Vietnam War, we went to World War II veteran memorial, and Korean memorial and all of them. And saw the President
Impressive.
of the Guard.
Yes, yes.
And that night they have us a big banquet. And then the next day we did the same thing again. And then the last thing we did was go to that Air Force base. Where it was, I don't have any idea, but they had the big band there. We got to dance with all the girls, and the girls danced with us, and so they had a great time.
Wow.
It's a trip that every veteran should take.
How do you get accepted? How are there certain criteria they go by?
No, you just have to be a veteran.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, it's, you have to apply, and you get it on through something, get on the internet or something, that the Veterans Assist Program, and
They help you.
Honor Society,
Right.
Honor Flight, yeah.
Okay.
And that's how you get an application.
Is there only one honor flight that
No,
comes
there's several of them all over the
from
United States.
all over the United States? So
Yeah.
it wasn't just your group that was there. It was
Yeah.
they came in from other
From
states.
other places, yeah. We went out of Dallas. Some other guys out here went through the one out of Austin.
Oh, okay.
And they had another one out of, we found out they have one down in Houston too. But this one in Dallas has the two flights. They have one in the springtime and they have one in the fall. So it's tremendous. You think about 40 veterans out there at one time.
Okay. Okay.
So
Wow, that's amazing.
it is amazing.
That is.
You sure eat a lot of sandwiches, I know that. So, it's fun. It's fun though.
they have to feed you.
They feed you well. All sandwiches. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Tell me, Don, how did your wartime Korean experiences affect your life?
I grew up a lot. I learned a lot about life. I learned to depend on other people, and I tried to be the friend of them, so they could depend upon me.
Right. Have you learned any life lessons? And that's basically what you've said, some life lessons that you learned.
You learn the life lessons, you know.
Of being dependable.
Being dependent, very definitely, you know, that you depend upon the guy next to you.
Uh-huh.
Like when we were up on the 38th parallel up there, we were sleeping in bunkers, and the guy was right next to you, shoulder to shoulder in a bunker. You depend upon him to take care of you, and you take care of him, especially in the Corps, you know, and you depend upon people
Right.
to do that.
Right.
And you try your best to get along with everybody. You get along with everybody.
Well, you're in it together.
Oh, yeah, very good, very definitely, yes.
You have to take care of one another.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. How did your experience in the military impact your feelings about war and the military in general?
I don't know. I think everybody should be in the military. As far as I'm concerned, every man should serve 2 years, at least 2 years in the military. As soon as they get out of high school. They learn something, they learn how to depend upon everything else, you learn how to live, you learn how to get along with people, and you finally decide what you want to do in life a lot of times.
Is there a message you would like to leave for future generations who will see this video?
Well, I don't know what it would be other than the fact that you get along with everybody, treat everybody as your own, and forget about the petty stuff. Don't worry about it. It'll take care of itself.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to share with us?
I don't know what it would be other than some of the life you have over in Korea was tough, but that's about it. So,
Well, we want to thank you for your interview today, but most of all, thank you for your service to our country. We appreciate you, and we want you to know that we honor you and your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mhm.